Okay, I'm joined on the telephone today by the very lovely, the very gorgeous, sorry, I'm just trying to read your writing here, Gary. Mr. Gary Wyatt. How are you doing, sir?
I'm really well. Yourself?
Very well, sir. Very, very well. We're talking about board games and how they've changed and how they're making a difference and how things have changed over the years.
Right.
And what's the most significant difference in board games?
Well, I think board games have always had this ability to bring groups together and being brought out in social environments. Now, over the years, there have been many, many games. Going back to the ancient Egyptians had games. But I think board games really are a social event and a social interaction that you can't get with a mobile phone app or an internet game.
They are part of the... I always found them, especially this time of year, part of the Christmas. They seem to sort of reinvent themselves around Christmas time when all the family are around.
Yeah, they are. They are in the fabric of Christmas, I guess, is a way of describing it. But it's not just bringing new ones out. Some of the old perennials will be brought out each year, and we're lucky enough. If you look at the Amazon top sort of games at the moment, we're lucky enough to have our BrainBox range up there. But then so is Monopoly and Scrabble. They're both very, very good perennial games, and yeah, people will bring the old ones out and they will look around what is new, what's selling well, and if it's a good game, it'll become a perennial. And we're lucky in that respect that our BrainBox games are very much in that league now.
I was going to say, what big differences of game manufacturers like yourself noticed with the invention of consoles?
Not a lot, really, because consoles are great for the audience that they are aimed at. And if you look at a person who's playing on a console, it's usually by themselves, and it's usually done in the privacy of their own room, and that's fine. But they don't offer the opportunity for groups to play together normally. Now, you do get some internet games that do allow that, but you can't get a family around a console game normally. And that's where the board games work, because if a game is good, you can have a 7-year-old playing with a 77-year-old.
Yeah.
And that's what a console doesn't offer you, because some people are afraid of technology, but everyone is very happy to sit around. Well, not everyone, but you'd hope everyone is really happy to sit around playing a game. And if the game is good and doesn't last too long and the rules are reasonably simple and everyone has the opportunity of winning, and that's really, really important, why games are around for a long, long time. Our BrainBox games, a 7-year-old, I will probably beat the 77-year-old. And Monopoly, it's sort of a lot of luck involved in that as to who wins that one as well. And that's very, very important.
Well, with Monopoly, for example, the fight starts as soon as you're trying to choose your pieces. Because if anyone tries to take over the dog, it's kicking off.
Well, I like the boot, because I think I kick off better with the boot.
We've all have sort of preferences, and that's what makes gaming fun, isn't it, when you talk about board games? And there's something exciting about getting a board game out of a box, putting it down on the table, everybody sort of gets comfortable, all get settled, which you don't get, as you say, with a console. Yeah,
you're absolutely right, and it will always be. But games are not just for Christmas. I mean, we're very lucky that we've worked with some big people. I'll give you an example. We've done. We had an idea once. What are the best 55 inventions ever made? So we wandered down to the Science Museum, had a chat to their people out, and we came up with this game called BrainBox Inventions, and it talks about the 55 inventions. So you pick a card, and it might have, the World Wide Web. And so the card will have when it was invented, who has invented it, where it was invented, and some sort of images on it. Then you look at it for 10 seconds, turn it over, and you have to answer a question based on the roll of a die. Brilliant. Your 7-year-old can play that, and your 77-year-old can. And it's just about pure visual observation. But you can do that all through the year. And obviously, when you're working with museums, they have lots of tourists during June and July, during the summer months, and you get lots of sales then. So it's pretty good. And obviously, schools embrace them as well. So they're great.
It's often the simplicity of the game that makes it more successful.
Absolutely right. And, I think if Monopoly was invented now, I'm not sure it'd be that successful, because you said earlier on what's changed. I think people do want simplicity. They do want to be able to get into it straight away. I mean, Germans are different. They like reading a rules book that lasts 4 hours. We don't as a society. We want to get on with it, get it done. And so, I have a litmus test. If I can't explain the rules in less than about 15 seconds, I don't want to do it. And most of our games, absolutely you can. And the BrainBox, as I explained to you, I explained the game to you in probably about 10 seconds. And that's how the whole BrainBox series works. It's really good.
It's good. When you get a new game that's come out, I always find, we'll read it as we go along.
Yeah.
And that's probably, it's the best part. I don't know whether it's a method I'm used to learning for myself, but I just find that to get the rule book out, we'll struggle. We'll have a few little giggles, and we'll play as we go along.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things I've started doing is I started saying, I tell you what, I'll put the rules on the back of the box, and if I can't fit them on the back of the box, it's too complicated. And so that's what I do. So I have a rules leaflet inside, but I also put it on the back of the box. So that means more than one person can look at the rules at the same time, which also helps as well. So it's, again, thinking of the end user and actually working away from there.
There was a game out a few years ago now, probably going back about 20 years now, he says, frighteningly enough, called Crush a Grape. And when you get annoying kids, there's nothing better than when you're playing a game with them, you can actually wipe the floor with them. And that brings back a bit of, I don't know, the competitive dad in me, but it is good fun.
Well, I look at it slightly differently there. I want everybody to have the opportunity to win, because I think if you have a game where you know who's going to win it the moment you start, I don't think it'll be brought out too many times. And so I try to make it that everybody has a great opportunity to win the game. So it's an element of luck as well as some type of skill or ability.
I'll just go for it. If I don't start winning, that's it. I'll throw my dollies out the pram and I'll storm out the room. I don't care how old they are.
Okay.
So don't start getting me on Ludo, because we'll be here for a month. Listen, Gary, it's lovely to talk to you, my friend. Where can people find out more?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll tell you what might be really interesting for your listeners is that if they have invented a game, we've got a really nice inventors page on our website. And our website is greenboardgames.com.
Yeah.
And on that inventors page, we've got links to sort of how you can legally protect it, some places you can go for more information. So, yeah, just look up all the W's, greenboardgames.com.
Fantastic. I've actually got an idea I could fire right now. It's called Send the Kid Up the Chimney. And basically what they do, if you send them enough, hopefully they'll come back with some money for you.
Okay. Well, one of the other things we actually say when people invent games is do a little bit of market testing beforehand. So.
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple that we can shove up chimneys anytime you're ready, Gary. Okay. All the best to you. Have a great Christmas and a good New Year, sir.
You too as well for your family too. Cheers.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Delighted to be joined in the studio by Gary Wyatt from BrainBox Games. How are you?
I'm really well. Yourself?
Yes, great, thank you. Now, first of all, what were your main inspirations to create the BrainBox Game Company?
Really, there were two inspirations. The first one was a personal one. I was working in corporate life, like many of your listeners, and spending an awful lot of time travelling around the world. And our first child was born, and I thought it'd been really nice to spend more time being able to see my children. So that was the first bit. But really, you've got to have a product. And I was driving along the M25, coming back from the airport, and there was a big traffic jam. And I started making words out of letters on number plates and thought, is there a game here? Then I thought of doing animals and then types of animals like insects and birds. So a good example. Can you think of an insect beginning with A? Ants. Excellent. No, I don't want to test you too much, but but the way I designed the game was, can we think of another insect beginning with A? So you let the youngest player go first, and then it gets harder and harder depending on the category. So another insect beginning with A could be aphid, for example, and hence we got this game called Alpha Animals out, and that was our first game. And but we had to test it first, and market testing is very, very important. And so we had some samples made up and questionnaires made up and given to people who lived in our street, to refine the idea. But to answer your question, what was the inspiration? It was a combination of thinking of a product, testing that product, and also the personal side of wanting to have a business where, really we're more able to spend more family time together.
Brilliant. And how hard was it to transform this idea into an actual selling product?
Yeah, again, there's a couple of things. I mean, to actually physically make the game, if it's a board game, you probably need a board. If it's in a box, you probably need a box. And if you've got to move around the board, you've got to have tokens. And that becomes almost a procurement issue. And it's not particularly difficult. You've just got to do lots and lots of research, and the internet's there to help you. And there are lots and lots of other people who have done it before who are very generous with their time and will help you. But really, bringing it to market is all about getting the product right. And I sort of alluded earlier to doing market research, but that was the hardest bit, is making sure the product is not just going to be played once, it'll be played again and again, and having everybody have an ability to win the game and to make it different each time it plays. And that's only through getting a concept, researching it, and going over and over it until you're actually really happy that the product you've got is good. And we were really happy with Elf for Animals that it was right. And so that's how we came up with our first game.
Had you had any experience prior to this, to going through this sort of process?
Not in the board game business. I've worked in business before, and a lot of things are. I mean, it's almost like my mum used to tell me, everything's common sense, and you've got to say to yourself, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? And once you know that, what are the steps you need to achieve that? And that's really how it was. And I'll give you another example. Our BrainBox range, which is our best-selling range, we wanted to make it a worldwide brand, so we attended trade fairs all around the world, and we looked for distributors. And so we now sell this game, or this series of games, in Mandarin, and it's fantastic. We only did that by going to a Chinese